What's going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. We've got so much to talk about today. We've got another action-packed episode where we look at all of the prices on sealed product across Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield. I recommend all the best things to buy at the moment, and we keep an eye on the market so that you don't have to. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. As always, we have to start off today's episode by talking about Destined Rivals. There's just no world where we can't start talking about Destined Rivals. In my opinion, it's one of the best sets to come out in the Scarlet and Violet era, and if you're willing to hold it for the long haul, I think you'll be very well rewarded in it. There's so many people in the market that think they know exactly what's happening with Destined Rivals and that it's overpriced, and if they just wait, it will be sat on shelves for below retail really soon, and there's no point in FOMOing in and buying into it now. And I can tell you right now that I think that's very unlikely to happen. I think buying in at this price is not a bad thing to do. Yeah, it might dip down a little bit over the next few months if print windows sort of increase and we start to see more product hit in the market, but I really do think that's going to be unlikely. There's so much demand for this set, and it's such a fun set to open as well. I think that it will just continue to hold decent value. Yeah, mass reprints may make it drop down a little bit temporarily, but I think if you buy in at like this price, this kind of $240, $250 range, I don't think that it's going to be a problem as long as you're willing to hold it out if it's going to dip down a little bit further. And you can kind of tell this already by seeing how it's holding its value already. For the last few weeks, it's just been consistently holding between that 240, 250 range. You can see that last week it was averaging about $244. Last sales $245. There's some up there, multiple sales at $250, and we're seeing decent sales volume on it as well on TCG Player. So the fact that it's still holding such a high premium over retail price is a bit of an early indicator to me that it's going to perform well. I mean, we kind of predicted it would anyway because it's such a high in demand, high hype set, but time will really tell what's going to happen with this set as it sort of continues on and we get more waves of reprints coming in. I personally think that they could reprint this into the ground, and if they did, prices would drop, obviously, but I don't think they would drop for long. I think all the product will just get gobbled up, and then once it starts to get closer to that out of print window, you know, as it gets up there in age, like sets like Paldea Evolved, Twilight Masquerade, even like Base Set, you know, those sets aren't as good as Destined Rivals in my opinion, and they're already starting to flex and starting to pump through all-time highs, which we'll have a little look at later on. I think that I maintain Destined Rivals as a buy. As you can see behind me on the shelf there's a whole stack of them. I have more in the back as well. I've pretty much completed my goal of getting 6 early on. I've got 5, and number 6 got like stuck in transport. I'm getting a refund from eBay. They've got my back on that. I think the seller tried to scam me, but we managed to get through it. They're going to make a ruling today actually to give me a refund, but I'm very confident they will because I didn't get it delivered. This is a good tip actually. I don't know if it's the same if you're in the US or not, but if you're having maybe a bit of anxiety about having expensive booster boxes being delivered to you from eBay, I highly recommend the click and collect option. Click and collect, get it delivered to a local store of yours. If there's any issues and it doesn't make it there, eBay can easily see that you haven't collected it because you've got to use a code to collect it, etc. It's a really good way to keeping yourself covered in those situations, so I highly recommend it, especially if you work a lot like myself. You know, you don't want necessarily want to have packages potentially being left on your doorstep of expensive booster boxes and stuff like that. So Destined Rivals is a decent buy at the moment. The last sold in the US, look at this holding price on an auction from yesterday, $237, and that's an auction. Generally auctions will be a little bit cheaper than a buy it now, just because people are like less impatient, so they just want to buy it now and they're willing to pay a little bit of a premium over market. But the fact it's still holding for $237, way over retail, is a really positive sign for the set. Cheapest in the UK is around about $2.12. That's like an all-time high as well for here in the UK. It's about the same price as it has been for the last couple of weeks, if not a couple of pounds more expensive, but it's really just holding at that level. If you're wondering why I'm showing US and UK prices, I'm based in the UK, but we track the whole global market on this channel with special interest on the US and UK markets to try and see trends between the two and get a good idea of what's going on in the global market. So wherever you're based in the world, hopefully you'll be able to get something out of this channel. And every week we go through all the data so that you don't have to. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's talk about prismatic evolutions then. Prismatic evolutions, it's kind of, I'm getting a little bit scared how accurately I'm predicting this stuff. Obviously, we are always trying to use data points to make accurate predictions, but it's really scary that when we called the bottom of the market here at $97 a few weeks ago, it seems like that's true, and we're just seeing a rebound up from that. Personally, I just think that anything sub $100 or bang on $100 just seems like a bargain, so people just buy it up straight away. It's a very psychological support barrier where anything in the $90, so 98, 99, 98, just really looks a lot cheaper than what market is at the moment. Yes, we are seeing lots of reprints going through Costco and stuff like that. Really wouldn't be that bothered, guys. Like, at most, it's going to drop the price to like $95. I think it's going to be the absolute basement price it might ever get to. I don't even think it's going to get to $95. It just depends though how much they print. If they really do print it into the ground and Costco's just constantly got supply of it, then yeah, it might drop to $95. For worst case scenario, like 12 months. For 12 months it might go under $100. But we're right on that mark. We're right on that 100 to 110 mark. Why not just buy in now, start piling up on it, and then just hold it for a bit? If you hold prismatic for 2 years, once it goes out of print, there's no way it's going to be going for 110. I just don't see it. I do not believe it. In my opinion, it's going to be going for double that. So to double up your money in 2 years, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Prismatic Evolutions is holding so much value in the single cards as well. It's just absolutely crazy. It is a monster set. It is a holiday set, so you've got no booster boxes as well. You do have booster bundles, which is a cheap way to buy into the product, but there's always going to be that premium on the Elite Trainer box for these holiday sets that don't have booster boxes. It is the item that the collectors want to collect as well. I personally think they could do a Crown Zenith. Okay, look at Crown Zenith. Crown Zenith was printed into the absolute ground. It was one of the heaviest printed holiday sets of all time, and it had the big Costco bundles as well. So much stock went through Costco, and look at the price now. We're knocking on the door of $200. I think Prismatic will be the same, if not more. I've said it more and more on this channel. I think that Scarlet and Violet, the whole era as a whole, is going to outpace Sword and Shield. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with that, but I'm looking long term on this. Seeing how the market is responding to things at the moment and how stuff, I get it. We're in a boom. I get that 100%. I'm not denying that. However, just look at how these products are performing while they're still in print. Look at your Paldea Evolved, your Twilight Masquerade. Look at your 151, your Paldean Fates. These sets are just absolutely pumping in price, and they're still in print. It's kind of crazy to me. We didn't see that in Sword and Shield. We really didn't. Just like an FYI, so Destined Rivals is performing better in the same amount of time than Evolving Skies did on its launch. Now, I'm not saying Destined Rivals is going to be Evolving Skies. I'm not saying it's going to beat Evolving Skies, but it just puts some perspective into how sets are performing now as to how sets were performing in Sword and Shield when they first came out. I get it. It was a different time, different amount of collectors, different level of boom and hype and stuff like that. I get that, but I'm just making a real basic comparison that Scarlet and Violet is actually pumping, and I don't know why people have so many issues with it. I think that it's really going to be an era that once it ends, people are really going to FOMO into it. They really, really are, and now is the time to pile up on this stuff. So Prismatic Evolutions, like I said, rebounding off of this 100 mark and just holding steady at the 110. The all the talk of the Costco is not affecting its price really. It's just continuing to hold at that 110. I do think it may drop a little bit, like I said, if it gets big reprints, but I think it's pretty safe. Look at this last sale in the US, $98.99. This is what I'm talking about. Anything even a fraction under $100 bought out. I think that's just how it's going to be. Massive reprints might mean that it can't keep up. The demand can't keep up with the supply, so it will drop down maybe to 95. But even if it drops down to 95, buying in now at 100 is not a bad thing. All right, you're paying potentially 5% more, but you're piling it up for the future on something that is probably most likely going to 2x in the next 24 months. If not more, it might 3x, it might 4x. It definitely could happen. Let's have a look in the UK then. In the UK, sub 100. Look at this, 94 all in. And then here's another one on the same day yesterday for 107 all in with postage, £107. Pretty sure that's right up there with all-time high as well, 107. It's about that. It's definitely very close. It's within a few percent of it. But someone got a deal on this auction, 91, which is like, what, 95 all in? The same applies for us in the UK. Anything sub 100, just buy it. It's a decent buy. Oh, it might drop to 95, 90 quid. Who cares if you're going to hold it for 2 years? Do you know what I mean? People are going to FOMO into Prismatic Evolutions hard once it goes out of print, just like people are doing with 151 at the moment. I've actually got one on the way to me. I'm so happy I'm getting one delivered to me, doing a deal with one of my friends, so I'm not having to pay any money up front, trading some of my old sealed for it. Really happy to be getting one in my collection. As you can see on the shelf, I have a load of booster bundles here of 151. I've got more in the back as well, but really happy to have an Elite Trainer box coming into the collection because I am a collector as well at heart. Let's have a look at last sales on the Elite Trainer box for 151. Just continuing to pump really, $243 holding strong there. Pretty much the same as last week, but just look at this upward pressure. Last 3 months it's up 20%, last 6 months it's up 41%, and in the last year it's up 251%. People are really going to start FOMOing into the 151 Elite Trainer box, and I think it's going to have a really good 12 months going forward and then onwards as well. I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to perform well after 12 months. I just think it's going to have a period of significant growth over the next 12 months. We could see a double up in price. I would not be surprised to see 151 pretty soon knocking on the door of $400, perhaps by this time next year. Let's then have a look at last sale in the US, $230. Like I said, I don't think it's going to get reprinted, the Elite Trainer box, and even if it does, it's just going to get bought up so quickly that will be that. $230 last sold in the US with the Pokemon Center exclusive, nearly going for $600 now, which is absolute madness. Last sold in the UK, 187. That's up about let's see, 4-5% even over the last few days, and the Pokemon Center version going for 403. The reason why I know that's up about 4% over the last few days is because that's when I negotiated the deal with a friend, and we averaged the price out to be about 180. So it's looking closer to 190 now. But if you're watching, don't be mad. The deal was arranged, and what I'm selling you in sealed has gone up too as well. So don't try and back out of that deal. Let's have a look at Pokemon Center then. Pokemon Center US completely sold out of everything. You can see that products have been drip feeding in. I'm really not happy with how Pokemon Center has been releasing new products and pre-orders. I think a lot of the community are not happy with it. I think the queue system that they bought in is better than the system that they had beforehand, but it's by no means perfect. I personally think they should just move to a lottery system, because the issue that you're having at the moment with these products drip fed in is there's no warning. There's no rhyme or reason as to when they're dropping in. They just drop in at random times of the day, and you'll have to join the queue, and you could be thousands of people back in the queue. And if you're not there straight away and like drop everything and try and join the queue, you're probably going to miss out on product. The big issue with this as well is there's no notifications, there's no pre-warning that these are going to drop. So what you have is you have a lot of people and a lot of fans in the community, but also a lot of scalpers that are setting up all these discords to notify you when it's available. Now, I don't think that you should have to use third-party software and be part of these scalper discords just to be in with a chance to try and buy a product, because you get that early notification when it first comes up. I think that's just like a horrible way to do things. I think that what would be much more sensible would be for them to email people with their email alerts turned on that have an account. You can register an interest early perhaps, and then we'll have, maybe when the stock lands or the pre-orders get arranged, a 2-day window, and people will be invited to register an interest to buy for a 48-hour window, so they don't have to drop everything if they're at work and try and run to the toilet and try and join a queue. Or do you see what I mean? Like, people live lives. Like, not all of us can just like be glued to the computer at all times to see a Discord notification and jump straight in. And I think that hurts the community a lot, and it rewards people to be degenerate and to be scalping. So what I would pitch as a possible solution is, like I said, you can early express an interest in buying it. Pokemon Center will say, okay, those people that have expressed an interest into buying it, perhaps you've got a 48-hour window to express an interest, then it just goes to a lottery system. Then you get informed by email, you've won the opportunity to buy it. Would you still like to buy it? You have 2 days to buy it if you would like. I think that's how they should do it going forward, because I think this whole queue system and just first come first serve, it really does hurt the community. Don't get me wrong, it's better than it was, but I think it just hurts. Okay, rant over. We're going to end up with another hour-long episode at this rate. I joke about it every time, and it always ends up being an hour. Pokemon Center UK is looking similar, pretty bare. We've got some random products that no one wants. Best of the pack here is probably the Iono little tournament collection thing, because you get the Iono promo, but let's be honest, no one really wants that. All booster boxes sold out. So over the last few months, we could buy Temporal Forces, Paradox Rift, that kind of thing for retail, which was keeping prices down on the secondary market, but they are since gone. They may turn up again, I don't know. It has happened in the past where suddenly a product that's been sat around for a long time, like Battle Styles, Vivid Voltage, I remember, even Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign, they sort of came back on later in their product life cycles and then sat on Pokemon Center for a little while. So we'll see, but at the moment everything bought out, which is how I would expect it to be. And then you can see that they've been randomly dropping old products onto the marketplace, just like they are in the US as well. Let's talk about Journey Together then. Journey Together is one of those sets where it's not a bad pickup if you can get it for a decent price. It's never going to be a heater set. It's never going to be a top 3 set, maybe not even a top 5 set going forward. I just don't think it's got enough strength to carry it. We saw a big hype around it when it came out, just because we're in such a boom. Everyone's buying everything that's new. Now we've had more sets come out after that. We're starting to see the hype come down. We're starting to see prices go down. I think they went as low as like the 210 range, and at 210 I told people to buy it, because at 210 it became one of the cheapest boxes on the market for sealed Ultra Modern Scarlet and Violet. I was saying anything 210, if it's at the bottom of the agreed market, if the market's at 220 for the cheapest boxes and Journey Together's at 210, this is how you need to think about it. Don't think about, oh, it's way over retail, it's not a great set. No, the whole market is way over retail. Okay, that's just the state of the market we're in at the moment. 210 was a good buy because it's not the worst set. So if it's the cheapest price, it's a good buy. This is how you need to start looking at it. It's not always about just buying the heater sets. You can make money on these sets, and these sets will perform well if you pick them up for a good price and you hold them. This is not a set that's going to make you rich in 6 months. This is not a set that's going to be super volatile in price. This is a set that you're going to put away for 2 years plus, probably more. Journey Together is a real long haul set. Ideal time horizon is like 5 years plus for Journey Together. If you buy Journey Together now for like the 220, 210, you manage to catch someone, lacking, and they're just dumping it, trying to get their money back, perhaps a scalper who's like overbought into him. You can get deals on this kind of product. On these kind of slightly less desirable products, there's always deals going on eBay and the secondary market. So it bounced back up from around about that 210 range that it was at a few weeks ago, which is what we predicted. Unfortunately, the chart's broken here, but we can see last sales, it's around about that 230 mark. Now, the average price, the average sort of lower end of the market on Scarlet and Violet right now for sealed is around about 215 to 225. So even at 230, I still think it's quite cheap, but you do run the risk that Journey Together is going to get big reprints because it is quite modern, and I don't think it's the highest demand set. It was when it came out because it was the shiniest thing, but now we're getting other sets. I do think demand will drop. That's why I say it's a long haul set, because I do think that prices will come down, but I don't think it's a bad buy at 230 now. I do own some behind me as well. It's one of those that you just got to look out for bargains on it. I think anything around about the $210 range, if you can see it, or if you could ever see it in the wild for retail. Instant cop. I think it's a good buy. Just be prepared to put it away for much longer than some of the other sets. Give it the time to appreciate. Last sold in the US, look at this, $204. I know it's a non-enhanced version, but that's quite common over here in Europe. $204, considering what the market is at the moment. That could be the cheapest booster box on the market right now for Scarlet and Violet. In fact, I think it is for 204. So, I mean, is it the worst set? I don't think so. I think for 204, that's a good buy, whoever picked that up for that price. 70 for a Elite Trainer box, I would say is overpriced, but I don't know. I personally wouldn't buy an Elite Trainer box for 70, but for 204, to pick up a bit of Journey to put away and to diversify your collection a little bit, I think that that's a good buy. Cheapest here in the UK, again, non-enhanced, £171. This is what I'm talking about sniping deals. Look at this. Look, 2 sales, same day, £207, £171. That is a nearly £40 price difference. What is that? 29 plus it's a 36 quid price difference for 2 buy it nows on the same day. Let's just see what the difference is in that. So 30, what did I just say? It was 36, wasn't it? Yeah, 36 divided by 171. Let's just calculate it out. Look at this, guys. This is a 21% price swing between 2 sales. This is what I'm trying to highlight to you guys. Snipe the deals. Look, there's a cheaper one even here. Look, £161. That's below retail. If you put in postage as well, that's what, 164. So 164 to 207. 2 buy it nows on the same day. Those were both yesterday. Like, just because it's not a heater set doesn't mean there's not deals to be had. Okay, if it's selling at the high point for 207 now, there's no way it's not going to be selling for 207 again in 2 years when it goes out of print. It's going to start increasing in price. Put this away for 5 years, it's going to be a £500 box, I guarantee. Let's have a look then at Surgeon Sparks. Surgeon Sparks, his price is so volatile because people love it, but then it's just like it was so overinflated, and it's got the same situation that I've just explained with Journey Together. Okay, price will dip down because people aren't looking at it. Look at this, it dipped down 2 weeks ago to 216. I was screaming at people to buy it because for 216, that puts it right at the bottom of the market for Scarlet and Violet. And it's not the worst set. In fact, Surgeon Sparks is actually really well received in the hobby. It's quite a popular set. It might end up being a top 5 set of Scarlet and Violet. So For it to be priced at 216 2 weeks ago, it's an instant buy. Because there's no way it's not going to rebound. And we saw this. Look, it's continuing to climb back up. And now it's right back up there. Look, 234, 252. One sale yesterday for 252. That's the highest it's been for a long time. So this is what I'm saying. If you think of the bottom of the market as like 215, 220, that'll give you a good gauge of what's good to buy at the moment. Now, like I said, prices will probably drop down a little bit, especially over the next year, 2 years. Have that long time horizon in mind, okay? 2 years at least. Hold it. You're going to do fine. You can sell it in less time. It might take less than 2 years for it to reach a price point of a decent profit where you're happy to sell it at that point. That's fine. I'm not saying you have to hold for 2 years. What I'm saying is you need to be prepared to. Because then if we see a drop down in price, it gives it that time to just bounce up and we start going on an upward trajectory. Again, messing up my words, I'm sorry. Late night last night, not going to say any more on that. Actually, not even joking or anything, just talking about Pokemon. So 234, it's still right down there at like the bottom of the market. It's one of the cheapest boxes. I think it's a decent buy. Be prepared to put it away for a little bit. Look at this, 240 last sold on eBay US. I need to start going quicker through these because otherwise it will be an hour-long episode. I know it's becoming a bit of a meme on the channel. Last sold in the UK. Look at this, 208. I don't think that's a bad buy for that price at all. It looks cheap to me. Let's talk briefly about Paldea and Fates. Paldea and Fates is one of my favourite holiday sets to ever come out, basically. I love the box. I love Mimikyu. I think it's got two of the best cards in the set with, in the whole era, with the Dark Charizard and the Bubble Mew. Very well received. We actually didn't see much stock of this be printed. Are we going to see more reprints? I don't know. If we don't, look at what upward pressure this is having on the market for Paldea and Fates. It's up 42% in the last 3 months. Technically, it's still in print. What's going to happen when it's guaranteed out of print? It's getting less and less likely each week that we're going to get more reprints of this. And it's just already starting to flex its muscles and to show that it's a strong set. Because there's not that many of these ETBs around at the moment. If there's no reprint, it's just going to keep going to the moon. It might end up being one of the shortest printed ETB sets of the modern era. And if it is, it is a heater set. It really is. It's one of the top sets. Look at this. Last sold 182. Sale before that from yesterday, 199. It's knocking on the door of $200, guys. It's pretty flat on the last week. So it's gone from like 185 to 182, 199. It's potentially up $15 if you go on the sale from yesterday. So we average that out. That's up $7? Might not seem like much, but it's a decent amount. That's more than 4%? 4% in the last week, and it's just churning. Look, up 42% in the last 3 months, and it's just getting going. I'm telling you, Paldea and Fates is going to be a one to watch. I'm buying more of it as well at the moment. Full transparency. Twilight Masquerade is just absolutely destroying. Look at this data, right? Look at how insane Twilight Masquerade is getting. Last week it was averaging 272. Last sales 285. So you're like, oh, okay, that doesn't seem like much, but it is. It really is. That's up $13 on 272. 13 on 272. That's nearly a 5% price rise, 4.7% over the last week, and it's doing this week on week on week, and it's still in print. I don't think there's going to be much more printed. That's why people are FOMOing in. They're buying into it. This is what I'm talking about, guys. These earlier sets, your Paldea Evolved, your Twilight Masquerade, even your base set are really starting to pull ahead now as they're getting up there in age. Even 151 as well. And what this is telling me is it's telling me that the era is going to perform well. It's just taking a little bit of time. It just needs to get up there in age a little bit. All of these earlier sets are starting to pull away now as the chance of reprints start getting smaller and smaller as they draw closer and closer to going out of their reprint window, so to speak. The imaginary reprint window of 2 to 2.5 years when most sets see their reprints. Just continuing to pump. We've been calling it since like down here, way before that actually. We've been calling it since like here, March, April time, when it was like $200. We were saying to people, look, it's at $200 already. Come on, this set is going to do well. We've been buying into it really heavy. If you'd have bought in back here in March when I was telling you at 200 to buy into it, well, it's now at 285. You would have made yourself a nice little profit on that one. I think it's going to continue to pump as well. You wait until these sets go out of print. Once these sets are officially out of print, you wait until it's not even out of print. You wait until we rotate into the next era. You wait until Gen 10 starts coming out. We get a new base set. We get a new era. That's going to come around quicker than people think. It's going to catch people off guard as well. And I tell you what, if it's anything like the start of the Sun and Moon era or the start of the Sword and Shield era, I've been doing this a long time. I've seen these cycles come and go. I'm living through my 3rd hype cycle at the moment. If it goes anything like how it's gone in the past, what will happen is the new era will come out, Gen 10 will come out, we'll get a new base set, we'll get the first set, second set of the new era, probably even to like 3rd, 4th set. People aren't going to want it. They're going to think it's trash because they have no memory or association with these sets. That takes time for it to build. It takes time for people to keep hearing people on videos like this saying, buy Twilight Masquerade, buy Paldea Revolved. When Paldea Revolved came out, no one wanted it. Now it's one of the best performing boxes of Scarlet and Violet because it just needed that time to be associated as a friend in our minds. I know I phrased that in a weird way, but it's true. It takes time for you to associate yourself and become familiar with these sets. And what generally happens is when the new era comes out, no one touches it because it gets heavy printed as well, especially base set. And what do people do when they're not happy with the new era? The new era sits because A, scalpers buy into it and get stung. This is what's going to shake scalpers out of the market, the new era. The new era, they're going to get stung on it because they don't realise and they're going to buy in heavy. They're going to go, oh, there's new stock, new Pokemon set, this is going to be it, this is going to be the next big thing, buy. They're going to be buying up all these cases and then it's going to sit and it's going to drop to sub-retail and they're going to dump and it's going to shake them out of the market and they're going to move back to selling sneakers or sports cards or whatever the next thing is until the next hype cycle when we'll see them all again. It happens every time. Okay, at that time, by the way, it's quite a good time to buy into the base set 1, set 2, set 3 of the new set because you can quite often get deals and get it for sub-retail. People are always telling me, oh, will we ever see sub-retail boxes again? Of course we will. 100% we will. But probably not of Scarlet and Violet. And probably not of Sword and Shield. I mean, definitely not of Sword and Shield. But probably not of Scarlet and Violet. We're not going to see it over the next year, 2 years. Potentially with Black and White. I'll talk about Black and White in a minute. But I'm going off on tangents here. What I'm trying to tell you guys is we're going to see a crash in demand on the new era when it comes out. What happens when that happens is people turn back to the previous era and it makes it look even better. You look at it with rose-tinted glasses and these sets, your Paldea Evolved, your Twilight Masquerade, your 151, your Paldea and Fates are going to seem so much better than these unfamiliar new sets that are sat on shelves. So all the money is going to flow in to Scarlet and Violet when it rotates out and it goes into the new era. These sets are going to perform like monsters when Gen 10 comes out. I'm telling you, now is the time to buy. I don't care whether it's a hype cycle. I don't care if we're at an all-time high on Twilight Masquerade. These sets are going to continue to pump. And as soon as they're officially out of print and they start rotating out, they are going to be monsters. They are going to outpace Sword and Shield. Mark my words, I'm one of the first people to say it. I've been saying it for a good few months now. I'm calling it early. I'm putting my neck on the line. Twilight Masquerade is going to be a $500 box. Paldea Evolved is going to be an $800 box. We're going to see some mad stuff over the next couple of years. I guarantee it. Let's have a look then. Tangent over. Sorry. Let's have a look then at last sold in the US, $260. Last sold in the UK, under 200. I mean, it's crazy that we're at 200 because you could get these for sub retail not that long ago. 6 months ago, something like that. 7 months ago, they were just sitting. No one wanted them. You could pick these up for like what, 130? I think we saw the lowest. They were sat at like 140, 150, sat around retail for a long time, and we bought a lot of them at that time. Now we're starting to see it flex and increase in price, but I don't think we've seen anything yet. The Greninja is going to carry that set so hard into the future. Paldea Evolved, same situation. We're starting to see heavy increases in price already. Look at this, $362. The average last week was $347. Last sold $350. But we're seeing sales, look, spiking up to $384. So yesterday it climbed all the way up to $384, and then someone just dumps a case at $350 and takes profit. I mean, that's fine, but that all-time high right there from yesterday, $384, is decent. If we go off of that, so it went from $347 to like $385 in 7 days, up $40. That's 11-12%. Come on, guys. It's not even out of print yet. What's going to happen when this rotates out and the next era comes? Paldea Evolved is a monster, I'm telling you. We're already starting to see it. It's already starting to pull ahead. Let me put things into perspective for you, okay? $390 last sold in the US. Let me just show you something. What's Brilliant Stars at? Last sold, out of print. Same price, $390. That tells me two things. One, Brilliant Stars is a huge buy right now because it's massively underpriced. Number two, Paldea Evolved is a monster. It's an absolute monster. It has overtaken Brilliant Stars in price. Or it's like right there. It will probably overtake it next week, I would imagine. Maybe not though, because people are going to buy out Brilliant Stars now, I've mentioned it. Let's go back to Paldea then. Absolute insane set. Just chunking up there in price. Over the last 3 months, it's up 60%. Over the last 6 months, it's up nearly 100%, 92% coming in. And I think it's just going to continue to run. When it rotates out as well, I'm calling it now, $500 box. It's going to take a bit of time for it to get up there, maybe a year after rotating out, but maybe not. Maybe it'll just run up there super quick. Who knows? But I do think it will get there. Last sold in the US, $390, as I said. Even these Elite Trainer boxes are going for like $100. No one wanted these. These were sat for way below retail in every shop. When the era first came out, this is what I'm talking about, guys. When the new era comes out, no one wants the early sets. When Paldea Evolved came out, no one wanted these. These ETBs were everywhere. People couldn't sell them for 20% below retail, 30% below retail. So many people got stung. Now they're $100. Crazy, guys. Last sold in the UK, just under 300. Now that's gone up a lot over the last 6 months. It really has. But at the same time, 300 looks cheap to me. Especially when I can easily see it going up to 500. I don't know why people can't see it. I really don't. Let's talk about Evolving Skies then. Let's rotate into the big boys in Sword and Shield. So, Evolving Skies looks like a flat week. We've been calling it. We've been predicting a bounce on and off of $2,000. It's going to go up to $2,000. It's going to drop down. It's going to go up to $2,000. It's going to drop down. This is what happens when you meet psychological barriers in the market with very round numbers. $2,000 is a very round number. But equally, just like with the stock market, once that price breaks out, then that 2,000 becomes the baseline. It becomes the support, and you never get a box cheaper than that. And then it bounces off of it, but above it. And you start seeing 2,100, 2,200. Then when demand drops a little bit, it drops down to 2,000. And then anything under 2,000, anytime you see a 19, like a 1999 or a 1988 or something like that, it just gets bought out instantly, because the psychological price is, well, that's a 2K box, I'm getting a discount. We called it was going to happen. It's still happening. And look, you can see it perfectly here in the last sales. Last sales, 2K. Okay? Sale before, 1912, 1927, 1850, 2K, 1900. This is what I'm talking about. So right here, look, here's another one, 2K. So, look. We go 1800, 1900, 1900, getting bigger, 1900, hits the 2K, 2 sales at 2K, bounces down $30, bounces down another $40, goes right down to 1900, bounces straight up to 2K again, 1850, 1927, 1912, back up to 2K again. And the range is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Now the bounce that it's doing is like between 1900 and 2K. It's getting tighter and tighter. Generally, when that happens with an asset class or in the stock market, when the swing price gets really small and really tight, that's right before it breaks out again. Like I said, once it hits over that 2K and we get like 7+ sales over 2K over the period of like a week, I think that's it. Then we see no boxes cheaper than 2K again. Even if we do, it's not for long. I think that Evolving Skies is the monster. I think that it is the best set of the last 10 years. I think it will continue to do crazy prices. There's no way in my eyes that it doesn't climb up to at least a $5,000 to $6,000 box. It's just how long is it going to take to do that? Is it going to take 5 years? Is it going to take 10 years? I think it's very unlikely it's going to take 10 years. I think within the next 5 years, I would comfortably say it's going to hit 5K. I think that it's going to hit it much quicker though. I think that we could potentially see that in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe even really quicker. It could just have an insane year. We could see a lot of outside pressure, money coming into the market. They start to see these gains. I'm seeing it more and more that you're getting like more people with like big incomes and big disposable incomes starting to move more of their financial portfolio into Pokemon. I think that's going to happen more and more over the next 5 years. And what are they going to buy? They're going to be looking at your Evolving Skies, your Fusion Strike, these kind of boxes. The decently priced, the rare ones. I think that we're going to see a lot of upward pressure on Evolving Skies over the next couple of years. Anyway, we're ranting on again. 1850 last sold in the US on eBay, last sold on TCG Player, bang on the $2,000 mark. Fusion Strike, fairly flat week. Look at this. So where are we at? Last week 741, last sales 700, 750, 753, 800. So we're bang on. If we average that out, we're basically bang on the average of where we were last week. Just a bit of price consolidation after such a big run up in price as well. It's just holding its value. So we ran up to around about 800, dropped back down to the 750 range, and the fact that we're seeing multiple weeks hovering at this 750 is just confirmation that that is now the base price. Okay, that is the price people are happy to pay. Again, I think Fusion Strike is going to break out. I think that it's going to have a run up fairly soon up to the $1,000 mark, and then it's going to have the same problem that Evolving Skies has got at the moment at the 2K range, where it's just going to bounce off of that mark, that psychological barrier, but it's going to be bouncing off the 1K range. It's going to drop down to 900, 1K, 900, 1K, and then the range will just get tighter and tighter and tighter over a few weeks, and then we're going to see a big breakout. And once it breaks out through that $1,000 mark, the sky's the limit for Fusion Strike. It really is. I think it'll be a fairly quick run up to $1,500 after that. It's just how long is it going to take to get to that point where it breaks 1K? It could be 2 months' time. It could be 2 years' time. I don't know. I would put my money on closer to a year's time. Last sold in the US, $700. Look, we're getting up there, guys. $700, and that's right. That is a buy it now. New listing tag still. So someone just dumped that up for 700, and it just got bought out instantly. Let's have a look at some more sales. 727 import to from Canada. Look, 730. Ignore this one, 665. It says read description. It's probably split or torn. So 730 yesterday for a box. So the fact that someone put one up for 700, no wonder it got instantly bought out. Even this 730 is a buyout with a new listing. So what was it at before that? Another one at 700. There we go. Look, 750 from 2 days ago. It's up there at all-time highs, guys. I would not be worried about Fusion Strike if you're holding it at the moment. Obviously, it's a lot of money to buy into that for a lot of people. But if you've got that kind of money and you're looking for a decent investment, I think that that's a good buy. I've been calling Fusion Strike, by the way. For those people that are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. I've been calling out Fusion Strike since it was at retail. It was on Pokemon Center UK for retail for a long time, and I was telling everyone every single week, this is stupid, you need to buy it. Look at what it is in the UK now. 500. Okay, and that wasn't even that long ago. What, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I was telling people to buy it for 130, 140. It's just mad how much it's gone up. It really is. Let's have a look at Lost Origin then. Lost Origin, similar to Fusion Strike, had the big run up in price a couple of months ago. Bit of price consolidation coming down. Last week we were looking at around about 503. Now you're picking it up for like 535, 504, 500. A few dips below 500. I think anything sub 500 is a crazy deal on Lost Origin. I think Lost Origin is massively undervalued at the moment, and it's one of the best bangs for your buck you can get at the moment for that kind of price range on a Sword and Shield set. I put it in my top 3 sets, and I just want to show you like the price difference because it's kind of crazy. So let's look at Fusion Strike selling for 750. Lost Origin selling for 465, 475, 500. There's no way in my world that Fusion Strike should be more than $100 more expensive than Lost Origin. I think that Lost Origin right now should be at least $600, and I think that Fusion Strike should be at least at that 800 as well. At least. I mean, really, I think they should be within $100 of each other. So I'd be calling out an $800 Fusion Strike and a $700 Lost Origin. I think that people are sleeping on Lost Origin at that price. I really do. I think it's on discount now. The fact that some people are picking these up as low as 465. Look at this. 450 last week. That's nuts, guys. And look at that last sale, 535. So what was that? That was that was on the 2nd. That was 3 days ago. Someone got one for 450. Nearly $100 swing, $80 swing in the last 2 days. I'm telling you, people are sleeping on Lost Origin. You can get crazy deals on it right now. Last sold in the US, $500, $495, $480. I think anything sub 600. And that's a bold claim. I'm saying 100 quid over market right now is an instant cop. There's no way Lost Origin should not be at least $600 right now, in my opinion. Last sold in the UK, 440. Just seems cheap, guys. This is out of print. Top 3 sets of Sword and Shield. What are we doing here? Why is it under 500 quid? It's an instant buy. Astral Radiance just kind of hovering after its big run up in price. Back down here at around about its 260 range, we said it was massively overpriced. When it had the run up in price, we've really not seen much price correction. We peaked at around about 410. Last sales 371, 380, 360, sorry, 374. It just looks cheap. It just looks like it's on sale right now. I don't know why you wouldn't buy into it. I'm just whizzing through some of these sets as well because they haven't changed too much in price. Silver Tempest is going up there in price a little bit. I think Silver Tempest and Brilliant Stars are going to have a good year. I think they're massively underpriced at the moment as well. I think both of them will have a fairly easy run up to $500 over the next 12 months or so. Especially when, like I said, Paldea Evolved is around about 380 at the moment. And you can pick up Silver Tempest out of print for cheaper, for 360, 345. It just doesn't make sense to me. But Paldea Evolved is still a buy at that price, but just Silver Tempest is as well. And so is Brilliant Stars, and so is Lost Origin. There's so many plays in the market. Like, I get so mad with people making these uneducated opinions and comments saying, I'm going to wait for the market to cool down. There's nothing good to buy at the moment. Yeah, you can't get a heater set on the shelves for retail, but you can pick up Silver Tempest out of print for cheaper than what you can buy Paldea Evolved right now. Like, I'm so sick of these people saying that there's no plays to make. How many tabs have I got open right now? Pretty much all of these are plays. Like, I don't understand how many more plays I have to point out to people for them to realise that there is opportunity everywhere. Like, literally, I can pull up any set and it's probably a play. Well, most sets anyway, as long as you're willing to hold it for a little while. Like I said, minimum be prepared to hold it for 2 years. I'm not saying you have to hold it for 2 years, but just be prepared for worst case scenario that you have to hold for 2 years to get yourself back into the black, into the profit again. If you have that mindset, you really can't go wrong with this. I've been doing this a very long time. Last sold in the US, 345. Last sold in the UK, 312, 302, 297. Guys, sub £300 for Silver Tempest is nuts. I know that a couple of weeks ago it was 200 quid. I know, but those times have passed. I was screaming at people then that it was too cheap. It's too cheap now, still at 300, even though the market's moved on. It's nearly gone up 50% in the last, month, 2 months, something like that here in the UK. It's crazy, guys. There's so many plays out there. Brilliant Stars is another one of those plays. Looks like their graph is kind of broken on TCG Player. Surprise, surprise. Look at this. 394, 396, 409, 409, 409. Look at this. Multiple sales over 400 over the last week. Interesting to see. And then bouncing back down below 400 again. Bouncing on a psychological point. I think that give it a little bit of time, it will have quite an easy run up to $500. Same with the Silver Tempest. I think they're good buys at the moment. Last sold in the US, sub 400. Good buy in my opinion. Last sold in the UK, 312. Everything just seems so cheap. Like, so many of these Sword and Shield sets, considering they're heater sets, and they're out of print, it just seems crazy cheap to me, 312. I think it's because the market has adjusted to paying overinflated prices for stuff still in print in Scarlet and Violet. Like I said, like Twilight Masquerade is starting to pump over the 200 mark. You're starting to see Paldea Evolved get up to around about that $300 mark as well. So to see these for like 312 quid, $400, it just seems like a good play to me, guys. It really does. You're not going to get any more of them either. We'll very briefly look at Crown Zenith, as it's one of my safest investments that I recommend. It's just a great holiday set. It was printed into the ground, and as it went out of print, you just saw it continuing to climb up in price. Week on week, it's up a couple of percentage points. And you never really see it reduce down in price either. Last week, we were at an average of $175. This week we're at like last sale $179, so potentially up $4. $4 doesn't seem like much, but it's gains and gains on gains every week. So what was it? $4 on like what, 175? Still 2.2%. Like, let me show you what the problem is with using these average prices, because it might look like, oh, it's had a pretty stable week, 2.2% rise, that doesn't really seem like that much. That's like a normal swing of the market between buy and sell price. Let's have a look at last solds. All right, I just want to show you something interesting. Last solds from yesterday in the US, 4th of July. $175. Buy it now. Same day. $200. $200 is an all-time high. We have never seen it hit $200, I don't think, on the secondary market. Buy it now on the same day. Both minty boxes. Crazy price difference. Look, here's another one. 4th of July. On an auction this time. $172.50. Okay? $172.50 to $200 is an insane swing in price. It might not seem it, but because prices are fairly low, let me show you just how crazy this is. And considering that from the same day as well. So what? 172 to 200 is 28 bucks. Yeah, 28 buck swing between two sales. Divided by 172. 16.2% swing price between two sales. And then you think, oh, okay, but that was a one-off, that was an auction. No, because straight after someone got to buy it now for almost the same price. A 16.2% swing is a crazy discount, okay? Now, I get it. That's an all-time high price. That's a bit much to be paying, $200. But that will be the price very soon. You can see what's going on the chart. It's just chunking percent on percent on percent on percent every week. So what seems like only a 2% gain over the last week on the average price changes, actually, we're getting a huge swing in price. We're seeing a massive 16.2%. So if you were to buy it at this cheaper price, and then it does another 2% gain, really, you gained 18% in 7 days, which is absolutely ludicrous. There's bargains to be had out there at the moment, I'm telling you guys. If you can adapt your mindset very quickly and quicker than everyone else, that $200 is the new price point, then when you see it for $175, it's an instant buy. You can take these opportunities. The problem is people have too much of a memory of pricing. People remember it at $150 a week or two ago. Or this was $140 last time I looked a month ago and I was going to buy it. I can't buy it now for $175. That's massively overpriced. Well, it's not, because the market's about to be $200. The way I like to think about it, okay, and I don't like to compare Pokemon to the stock market too much, but this is a really good way and a good exercise of adjusting your mindset to when markets are like this, okay. We put way too much familiarity onto products, and I'll explain what I mean. With Crown Zenith, like I just said, there's a lot of people that wouldn't buy this for $175 because they're thinking, oh, it was $140 a few weeks ago. Imagine this isn't Crown Zenith. Imagine this is a stock. We'll pick one of the most common stocks, an ETF. So an average of the market. We'll look at the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in America. You can buy a stock in it, and that's what billions of pounds are invested into all across the world. Okay, people buy and sell that all day long. Do you really think people that buy and sell a stock are looking at the stock going up? If the stock's going up 2% week on week on week, which is what Crown Zenith is doing, if it's going up and up and up and up, do you think people are going to stop buying it? No, they're going to buy into it more because it's going up. Sometimes you need to look at what the market's doing, not what the price is. If it's continuing on an upward trajectory, if it's something that is like a stock or something like that, people just continue to buy into it when it's going up. It just happens. If you're like a day trader, say for example, I'm going to use round numbers out here, okay? Say you bought some S&P 500 stock, or let's just say you bought some Apple stock. Let's make it easy. Let's say you bought some Apple stock and you bought it for $100, okay? You sell it next week for $105. Are you telling me that you would never buy that Apple stock again if it was higher than $105 in the future? No. If the market is going up and now the price is 120, you'd hold it till it's 125. this is what I'm trying to get across to you guys. Stop having so much of a memory on pricing with these products. I get it. They're very visual. They're very familiar, these products. This is where the market is at now. $175. You can't be thinking, oh, well, it was 140 a few weeks ago. It doesn't matter. This is where the market is now. And the market's going up. So pretty soon, we're going to look back and think, oh, I should have bought it. Look, it was under $200. Now it's at 300 or 400. You need to break that psychological problem that everyone has. It took me a long time to break it as well. When the market's moving this fast, if you can adapt your mindset quickly enough that this is the new all-time high, 200, and that is a bargain, you can save yourself 16% if you jump on a 175. This doesn't even have a new listing tag, so this sat for a while at 175 as well. Just something to bear in mind. I know that message about the stocks won't get through to everyone, but it's worth me saying, because the few people who are listening who understand the point that I'm trying to make there, it's worth it for them to get that, because that will really help them going forward with buying products. It really will. Last sale in the UK, 177. It's just like at all-time highs every time I check it. With postage, it's over 180. It's going to be 200 quid pretty soon. Let's finish off the episode with talking about something a little bit different. We like to pick out something in the market that is something different, something that's maybe like an unusual play or something. I've noticed Chilling Reign Elite Trainer boxes are really starting to increase in price. I really like them. I do have one behind me. I think it's buried in booster boxes. It's about there underneath some booster boxes. Funny story, I actually had one of these purple Shadow Rider ones from release, and I was really happy, and I paid a premium for it. I paid like probably 40% over retail, and then held it for a couple of years. Really liked having it in my collection. Sold it for a loss after I ate some fees on it with eBay. Had really bad seller's remorse, regretted it, bought it back again just as a collection piece. So I lost money doing all of that. But that story is important and the reason why I bought it back is it's a reminder that it's not all about the money. It's definitely, for me, about the collection as well. And I really regretted selling that and losing that piece. So I rebought it again for more money. But the reason why I wanted to point it out is because it's making some interesting plays in the market. You can see a sudden uptick in price over the last 3 months. We're seeing an 11% price rise over the last 3 months. But I just want to show you some aggressive pricing behavior because I'm potentially predicting or spotting a bit of a trend just about to break out with these Chilling Reign Elite Trainer boxes. Now, they're not going to make any more of these. These were quite widely available. I think they ended up in Costco bundles as well. But just look at some of this pricing here. There's not many sold that often. Over the last week, so last Saturday was the 28th, we're seeing 3 sales over the last 7 days on TCG Player. But just have a look at some of this pricing, okay? Because they're still quite cheap to buy into. So on the 30th, it was $81, $81.50. 2 days ago, it was $90.99. So, in 4 days, it jumped up $9.50. Okay, and that might not seem like that much, but let's do $9.50 divided by, what was it, 81.50. We'll just do 81. That's an 11.7% price rise in 4 days in 2 sales. And if you want to look even closer at a less of a percent rise but more aggressive, so it shows that the gain was even steeper, is on the 3rd. So the same day it jumped to $91, it was $83. And there's just not that many on the market, so you can get more volatile pricing. I know it's not enough sales to get like accurate data and to predict a trend, but I'm just pointing it out as something interesting. I think we might see a run on these pretty soon. So it was $83 and it jumped to $91. That's an $8 price rise. So 8 divided by 83, 9.6% swing in price on sales on the same day, 2 days ago. Something to be aware of. Just thought it was an interesting play. I like pointing out anytime I see plays for you. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I enjoyed making it as ever. It's one of my favourite parts of the week. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you would like to show your support. It really does help me, helps the channel grow, pushes my content out there further, and maybe we can save some people from buying some overpriced journey together or something. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful day. Peace.